Boo! I am so sorry if I frightened you with my incredibly clever jump scare after 4 months of silence. But Invincible Season 4 is already halfway done, and boy do I have some thoughts. Now, I am really conflicted on this season. The stuff with Mark being mentally unwell to the extent that he doesn't know right from wrong is excellent. It's incredibly heartbreaking to see this once cheerful and full of hope superhero become so cynical and depressed. And everything done with the side characters is great as always. Nolan and Alan proceed to have the best bromance of the entire show. And Adam Eve is going through a very real, very scary part of life that I think may be the make or break of the season depending on how they handle it. But the overall story feels pretty lackluster. Now, this is by no means set in stone. Season 3 really waited to show its hand until the very last minute, and I can watch the entire season more fondly knowing what the overarching story and themes were. So I have no doubt that Season 4 can do the exact same thing here. But where I find this season to be really lacking is that it doesn't really feel all that fresh. This season doesn't really introduce a ton of new villains, and when they did, it was the worst episode of the show. And it has led to parts of the season feeling very stale. Episode 1 deals with the Sequids. Episode 3 deals with Mr. Liu, the dragon guy from Season 3, Titan, and the Flaxen Army. And Episode 2 doesn't really have Mark in it at all. And while it was great to get an entire Alan and Nolan dedicated episode, it was really weird to not have the main character in an episode of a show that only has a total of 8 episodes to work with. And then there's Episode 4. This should have been a highlight of the season. We get introduced to a new villain and we get a very unique spin on the concept of hell. I also think that on paper, it was perfect for Mark's character arc. He's at a point in his life where everything is upside down, and he borderline doesn't know right from wrong. Him getting set straight by a literal demon and siding with Satan in a conflict seems like a great way to subvert his own understanding of right and wrong, while also setting up to go down his old, more hopeful path. But in execution, it sticks the landing, but only barely. And I think there are 2 reasons why. The first reason is a minor one, but I haven't really heard anyone else mention this, and that's that this episode feels like something we would have gotten from Season 1. Mark is on his own in a new environment. He lacks experience and is forced to lean on someone else who has more knowledge of the environment. Now, I know I said I wanted new threats to be introduced, but Seasons 2 and 3 did this much better. And this was probably because as we went on, Mark gradually became more competent to the point where he was smart enough to deal with the fight on his own regardless of the outcome. It didn't feel like having someone tell him what to do would have changed the outcome when he failed. But here, Mark feels woefully out of his depth. I also think the absence of other supporting characters made this feel very limited. Mark not fighting side by side with another superhero is weirdly enough something the show doesn't do too often, and I think it's because Mark as a character needs someone to bounce off of for him to work. You can't just show him and have it work because he's the straight man type. He needs someone a bit looser to counterbalance him. And the lack of connectivity to the overall story makes this episode feel very isolated. And the second thing, and my and everyone else's biggest gripe with the episode, is that it feels like filler. The way the action goes, where it's a 2D fight using a limited color palette, or having the fight off screen, or the lack of more than 2 characters who look different in the majority of the episode. This just all makes the entire episode feel cheaper and like the show is wasting our time. Now, I don't hate it at all. In fact, the episode sold me on Damien Darkblood as a character. I was perfectly happy to never see him again, and now I'd like to see more of him. I'm still of the opinion that this show doesn't have any bad episodes, but I almost wish that this episode was cut and they used the extra money to improve the animation on the rest of the season. And that's not to say the animation is bad at all. In fact, I think they improved from Season 3. But man, is it really night and day from one scene to the next. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. The show is still fantastic. And I am very confident that the final 4 episodes will be batshit crazy and incredibly satisfying. It seems like the rest of the season will focus entirely on the Viltrumite War, And as long as the season doesn't end on a crazy cliffhanger that doesn't conclude this season's story, then I will be more than satisfied. Guys, that's really about it. For those of you who made it this far into the video, seriously, you are the best. To my 5 regulars, I'm sorry to have been away for so long, but I'm hoping to make a full comeback really soon. I will at the very least have a part 2 review of Season 4 when the finale drops. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care.